It's after 7 o'clock. I'll call the May 26th meeting to order, and we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes for April 14th and April 28th. Motion.
Move to adopt them as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Just to get the commission informed and the public, we have a very long agenda tonight. There's a few applications that are pretty straightforward, and there's some that are going to take long, this may take long discussions. We're not going to entertain long discussions because I don't feel like being here till 1 o'clock in the morning. So if it takes a long period of time to negotiate what we're doing here, we'll just have to ask you to continue, to be fair to everybody. So we're gonna start off with, the first one is 242 1800 158 4th Street.
Hopefully we have audio. All right. Okay, so the commission was waiting for conservation staff to be able to get on site and look at the vernal pool. It was able to do that on the 27th of April with the applicant's consultant and the applicant. I waited on a small corner of the pool that was on Mr. Triano's property, so I was able to remain on property. I found 3 facultative species that were found which satisfies ephemeral pool criteria C. The applicant's attorney had argued that the commission has broad discretion to issue waivers under regulations 5.2. The commission had argued, on the other hand, that regulation section 3.1 was very narrow in terms of what the commission could waive, in terms of what the exact activities are waivable. Let's see, so the on-site investigation has been complete, and appears that the commission has sufficient information. I don't think there's much more to discuss. I feel like it's sort of been discussed. And I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a decision in 21 days.
Okay, thank you. If there are any questions, just for the sake of time, I would, myself as chairman, would recommend issuing a denial based on lack of information, vernal pool information, and lack of. Sean, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
So,
Sit still. No one can hear us.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So I think we might have to pause.
okay, we can pause.
We have no audio?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And that's counsel of the applicants on the screen, so he probably wants to hear us.
Yeah, I would say. I think they have a feeling that it's going to happen, so, based on this project.
Just, I want a clarification on what you had just said. So the denial isn't for solely lack of information, but it's lack of specific information on design, but more so for the confirmation of the presence
Yeah,
of facultative species in the vernal, confirmed information.
And we did the site view, and I didn't know part of
Hey
that.
guys, let's hold off
Yeah.
Yeah,
until
let's hold
everything
on.
is
We
resolved.
Yeah.
should, we should not until we,
Yeah.
I could see a lot of phone things.
You can't even tell we're talking because we got masks on.
That's Attorney Bornstein right there, right?
Yeah, it is.
yeah, that's council.
If he's hanging on for Cam Newton only, I don't think that's a good
That's what I
thing.
heard. He
I
wants Cam Newton to throw him passes.
think the best you can hope for is that Mac comes around this year and you're looking for next year for a chairmanship, but
I think he's-
Jones and
Definitely nothing I have.
Cam Newton are not your answer for the Patriots. I don't think.
Jones is, I think Jones would be a good quarterback.
So it opens up a threat. It gives you the Edelman, Gronk uncertainty of which play's coming at you. It gives you that.
We got some good, I think they're gonna be good this year.
Hmm?
I think the Patriots are gonna be good this year.
I think they are too, but I don't think they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
No, I don't wanna get carried away.
Did Julio Jones sign anywhere?
What's that?
Not yet, not that I've heard.
Julio Jones, the other
He hasn't signed
Jones.
yet. Yes, but oh,
Good?
well said?
Oh, we're good.
Okay, hopefully you guys can hear us now.
Let's make sure they
Give
can.
us
Let Amy,
indication.
Amy, let's confirm that they can hear us. Let's just have one representative of the applicant
I would
respond.
say Attorney Bornstein is, probably there.
Okay, just hoping everyone can hear us now. If someone could just shoot, no?
Jamie says no.
So we're getting
How did
negative.
Jamie know to answer no? Did she hear you ask?
She
No,
sent a
no,
text,
no,
Amy
no,
sent a text
no.
message, yeah.
But let's get an X on the microphone.
Muted?
Yeah. Can you guys hear us now?
So ask,
Yes.
please ask representative of,
We're getting yes.
all right.
Attorney Bornstein, can you hear us?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank
He
you.
can hear us, that's the
All
most
right,
important.
good.
All right, Dawn can hear us, so we can start.
Right, so we'll review what I just said.
So, Don, I had just went through my site inspection on the 27th and my findings, and the relative arguments from your half and the commission's part, and recommending that I think we have all the information that we need and the commission could close the hearing. So I don't know if Lou has anything to say?
No, well, which was unbeknownst to me was, I didn't know that the potential ephemeral pool was partly on this property. I didn't know that. I didn't find out that till later. And Amy went out there, did a site view, and she found critters. So, they were asking for a waiver with pretty much no alternatives analysis. Only that they're gonna redelineate somewhere else. But the vernal pool prohibits us from granting waiver. Right? I mean, the last time we had the discussion on that,
Well, I don't think anything prohibits us. There's a certain pecking order that they must go through in order for us to be able to consider granting the waiver or not. But I think it stands to reason that as a matter of consistency, that in that order, is it really a ephemeral pool? And if there is, have you met the burden of providing a complete and comprehensive alternatives analysis? And I think, we've done it in the right order, and I think there's not any compelling evidence based on what we've seen that would allow us to grant the waiver. It's not that we can't grant a waiver, it's that I don't see a reason that we should grant a waiver.
all right, so
And I know it's unfortunate, but I think that's the circumstance, and, we just suggested that might be the case in the very beginning, and I think it's proven out.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I suggest each commissioner get a chance to,
I'll check.
to inquire, ask questions or comment, and
Yeah,
then,
Sean.
Yeah, so Lou had asked me, I agree, I am, out of probably most of the commissioners, the toughest stickler on granting waivers, because I think it is a very, very high burden that's required of the applicant, clear and convincing showing of a number of different items. So for those reasons, I also agree, I'm not in favor of issuing a waiver.
Thank you. Well said?
so my opinion is, based on the information that I have relative to the finding of material to certify the pool, and the alternatives analysis that I personally don't consider to be comprehensive enough. At this date and time, with what's in front of me, I would vote no on the waiver.
Jack?
Yeah, I would also vote no. I think this whole project turned on whether it was a vernal pool, or ephemeral pool or not. It's been determined since then that it is indeed a ephemeral pool, and I think the case is not strong enough to grant a waiver, so I would agree with my brethren.
Thank you. So, look for a motion.
You want to hear from the applicant? Or the applicant's counsel before we?
We can, but I think it's pretty well evident that we're gonna vote denial anyways. And like I said, we have a long agenda. We've given them multiple opportunities to negotiate a remedy situation.
I think it's fair that they have an opportunity,
Okay.
if they have any new information.
I would only ask them one question.
If there's new information.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
well-
exactly what I would do, Joe. I would
Well,
just
do we
want to get
want
that on
the-
the record.
Do we want the applicant to respond, or would you like the
Well-
attorney to respond?
Well, I think, and maybe put some kind of time limit, you talked about doing that in general tonight as a philosophy, trying to limit time of things, and this is a matter that's been discussed multiple times over, so maybe if you could, whoever speaks on behalf of the applicant, if they could on their own, make it brief.
5 minutes. Give 5 minutes to speak or not, and we can make a determination from there.
Okay, who wants to speak for the applicant?
Dave?
Great.
Dave, do you want to speak for the applicant? Or-
Sure, I don't know, John, do you want to take lead, or do you want me to step in?
No, I'll pass it quickly off to you, Dave. I'll just note that I did submit my letter of May 7th to the commission. There was some confusion at an earlier hearing as to whether the commission had authority to grant waivers. It sounds like that's been cleared up, so I appreciate that, and I'll just turn it over quickly to Dave. I know you have a very long agenda, but Dave
Yep.
did supply some new information, a new plan, and I'll give him a chance to discuss that and how we think it, at least briefly, how we think it meets the waiver standard.
Sure, all right. So, Amy, I provided you with a figure. Is it possible to broadcast on that on the screen, or
I
is that
have,
something you're able to do?
I have it projected in the meeting room.
Oh, but it doesn't
But you
project
can-
in?
But you can.
Okay.
You can put it on your screen too if you want to.
All right, that's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
So again, I on behalf of the client, I need to petition that there is opportunity to grant waiver here at your discretion, and we believe that we met the intent of the, we did provide alternatives analysis, that there is no practicable alternative to locate this anywhere else on the property. And we did go through the process of filling out and filing a waiver request form that provides all of that level of detail. Again, stemming back to our arguments. And again, we'll this is a bit repetitive, that the house was constructed in consideration of a 25 and 50 foot setback. We also demonstrated that the pool where it lays. There's a photograph, I don't know if you guys can see that this photograph in the top left of the image that we depicted demonstrates where the pool would be located. It's entirely over level manicured turf lawn, so there's no reduction of habitat for vernal pool species by putting a pool there. There's no forested upland habitat. This provides no habitat value at all towards vernal pool critters, amphibians that would utilize it. And then third is that we do have opportunity to restore a heavily degraded area closer in proximity to the vernal pool that does not provide very good forested overwintering habitat for these salamanders that would increase habitat value. And I can say as an ecologist of 20 years of experience that if this project were to be granted a waiver, that there would actually be a net increase to vernal pool protection in the post-construction condition. That there's no impact to the vernal pool or the critters that utilize it, and that we would actually provide net benefit. And even looking at the surface area that we scabbed in here of where the degraded area is, I would even say that we could increase that surface area just a bit. I didn't carry it all the way to the property line. We could extend that to the property line and square it off, and it would probably add a few hundred additional square feet of restoration area in desperation to save this project. The other point that we wanted to make in this illustration that we provided, this is an aerial image at scale with the site plan on it. And the extent of the vernal pool itself is still greater than 100 feet away from anywhere that we would. So we're not, our project or our proposed pool would be further than 100 feet away from the actual vernal pool itself. But we do understand that under your local bylaw, that the wetland itself, the bordering vegetated wetland that confines the vernal pool, increases in setback zones. And with that's my point, is that I believe we met the intent of alternatives analysis, and but
Okay,
and that's what I have to say on it.
thank you. All right. With that being said, I need a motion.
Motion on the waiver or motion to close?
Motion on the waiver.
Should be on the waiver request first.
I move that we deny the waiver request for 158 Forest Street, 242 1800.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And then we need a motion to deny, basically because we have no waiver, on 242 1800.
The
Well, we
motion's
got to move to
closed.
close and issue in 21 days, I think, right?
Right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
correct
motion.
Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you. Next one is,
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Good night.
next one is 242 1814 3 Great Pond Road. If you're not familiar with the place, it's the old Grange building.
Okay. So the project involves conversion of that building into 3 condominiums with associated grading, parking, and stormwater management facilities. 2 parcels were merged for this project to accommodate space for the needed parking, which are 6 spaces. Planning Board has had 2 hearings on this project, was poised to close and approve depending on the outcome of the Concom review. Town engineer John Borghese performed a stormwater review. His remaining comment recommends test pits to determine seasonal high groundwater elevation to make sure that the bottom of the infiltration chamber is 2 feet above groundwater. Activities within the buffer zone to BBW and bank of a brook include removal and loaming and seeding of paved driveway at the west side of the building, partially within the 50-foot no-build zone. Let me get the plan up. I'm just going to get the plan up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is
Libby.
Elizabeth Wallace from Hayes Engineering.
Hi, Libby. I'm just giving a rundown. And then,
Yep.
and then,
I want to introduce myself.
thank you. Let's see, repaving and pavement extension with associated retaining walls to the east and south of the building to create 6 new parking spaces, portions of which are in the 50-foot no-build zone. Waiver requests and alternatives analysis have been submitted. Installation of catch basins and subsurface infiltration chamber immediately behind the building within the 50-foot no-build. I reviewed the wetland line and visited with the consultant. I had 2 flags moved. Wetland flag number 4 moved 9 feet down gradient, and wetland flag number 9 moved up gradient by 10 feet. And we have the revised plan with us this evening. So you'll see wetland flag 9 moved up 10 feet. So it pushed out the 25 and then the 50. Wait a minute, is that existing conditions? Oh, never mind. Let's do the proposed plan. Here we go. So here's the 25 and here's the 50. So the infiltration chamber is wholly within the 50. And some corners of the new parking are in the 50 as well. The brook, I asked that the brook be evaluated for intermittence or perennial status. They performed a stream stats, and they calculated the watershed to be 0.1 acre, so it's well below the half-acre mile, 0.18 square miles, and it's well below the 0.50 square mile threshold. So I think in discussion with the chairman, we talked about the subsurface infiltration chamber possibly being able to be moved underneath the parking area, but, you know, I don't know if that's, I don't really know what the reasoning was behind placing it where it's going, so.
The reason why I said that, I'm just looking at, I haven't seen this new plan. They're gonna pick up 4 feet if they move it from, say, where it is now to like the corner of the building. They have an elevation of 94 feet where the storm chamber is now up to 98 feet. On this, up in the corner where the entrance to that satellite parking is. My question of whether, first of all, it's right on the 25, so it's gonna require them to dig in the 25, to dig the hole. Now, you need 2 feet below water table, 3 feet for the chamber, 2 feet for the covering. I think they're probably gonna be in the water table in that area, because the brook is right behind, immediately behind. So I would suggest putting the storm chamber up here at the corner of the building and run it there.
It's pretty common to put an infiltrating bank beneath a parking area.
Yeah, I have it at my place.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like we're asking, and they gotta excavate it anyways.
Yeah.
So that was
Okay.
my only issue. But Sean, I'm sorry.
No problem. So there are 6 parking spaces that go within the 50?
Well, there's 6 parking spaces,
Can you-
corners of which are in the 50.
Can you point them out?
I'm just gonna blow it up a little bit.
Sure.
All right. So here's the 50-foot line
Yep.
along here, and here's the corner of the parking,
Okay.
so.
Yep.
And then here's the stormwater chamber, and here's the 25, and there's the 50.
Gotcha. Is there an issue with the brook that needs to be evaluated or has been evaluated?
We just wanted to make sure whether it was perennial or intermittent, and stream stats show that it's intermittent. So we wanted to make sure we weren't in riverfront.
I don't have any other questions at this point. Thanks.
Okay.
Right now?
Ready? Yeah, I saw the proposed parking does have corners that are clipping in the 50, but in my mind, I'm immediately offsetting that by the removal of the existing pavement
Yeah, there is.
to the left of the building, which is, as far as an area is concerned, is much more inclusive in that 50-foot no disturb. So I think it's a net improvement.
Net improvement.
So I think, just by virtue of what they're taking out, it shows that
Yep.
that's an alternative that's preferable, in my opinion. What I don't have is enough information to comment on the location of the infiltrator, and that's with regards to, what's the impact on the roof drainage and the perimeter drainage? Can that get in gravity from the building if we move the infiltrator up into the parking lot? And if you're moving it by 4 feet vertically, that may be an issue, and I guess I don't know that right now. So I'd ask the applicant to tell us if the request, I would prefer, as my colleagues would, to have it underneath the parking lot. But if there's a hydraulic reason why it's where it is, they need to tell us that. I think overall, given the tightness of the site, it seems to be a good redevelopment of a very historic property in town here. And the groundwater engagement, I'm not as concerned as Lou may have been, only because of the steepness of that bank down to the brook.
Yeah.
And most of that water table comes in behind Drummond Park and underneath the youth center and comes in through the brook that way. This steep embankment, if the groundwater was there, we'd have breakout through the side of that hill, and I don't think we
we
see
don't.
that. I haven't been in the back of that area in a long time. I drive by it frequently. It's not a high-quality wetland. It's Japanese knotweed and loose drive. It's pretty
Yeah, there's
pretty
some-
loaded with invasives.
Some invasives, yep.
So, and I guess I'm curious that all of the wetland is off-site, correct? So there's no opportunity here to do any invasive control, is there?
Yeah,
Without causing more disturbance?
correct. You're right, the wetland is off-site.
So I have
Yeah.
no other questions, but I think I'd be curious to see if there's any limitation on the roof drainage collection system getting into the infiltrator, if that curbs our discussion on relocating the infiltrator under the parking.
I see.
I'm all set.
Thank you. And the only question I have is, I don't want to date myself, but I've been around a long time, and I don't ever remember seeing that stream dry.
Why have?
Really?
Yeah. A friend of mine lived next to it on the other side, on the other side of the
Stevens
street.
Street?
Stevens Street side, yeah.
Okay, well then, the science says it's an intermittent, so I
Very
gotta.
much like the Katuitt Brook
Yeah,
behind your house. When it rains, it flows, and when it flows in the spring, it flows, but it's dry most of the time.
Yeah, or a trickle.
Yeah.
Okay. Al?
So, like everybody here, I've been around here a while, and I've driven by this many times. It's a pretty active wetland. It moves a lot of water when there's water to move. It supports a lot of runoff. The vegetation may not be the highest of quality of wetland vegetation, but the performance of the wetland is absolutely critical, and it does move a tremendous amount of water, a tremendous amount of flow. But I note, as stated earlier, I note that it's off-site primarily, so there might be room for enhancements. I'd entertain enhancements, but I'm not going to require them. As long as the flow, as long as we're satisfied with the flow, and as long as I think, who was it, John Borghese wanted some test pits?
Yep.
Are they going in?
That was his last set of comments. I don't think they've done them yet, but.
Okay, so I'd like to see the data on that, too. I agree with the test pit idea, and that's what I have right now.
Yeah, I think, I basically agree with you guys. I think from a wetland standpoint, to put it under the paved area, it makes a lot of sense from a wetland standpoint. And to your point, Lou, I think picking up some additional separation from seasonal high groundwater is a good idea for the project. So I think both of those are good reasons to move the infiltrator and have a better plan. So that's my input.
So we have some stuff to do.
Yeah, so we do have.
Applicant, would you like to speak?
So
I don't know-
would-
I don't know who it is.
Libby?
Libby, yeah.
Could she
do you
hear the
wanna-
recommendations?
Do you want to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, I will. There have been questions as to why the infiltration area can't be put under the new parking lot. It just wouldn't drain well. The exfiltrated stormwater would not be intercepted by the required drainage at the wall. We've looked at that, and it doesn't work. That's why we left it there. We had looked at it as an alternative, but the drainage did not work out. And there are other I'm sure there are other reasons why it can't be moved. That's not my expertise as a wetland scientist, but we can give you a comprehensive answer on that.
I guess our test pits are going to be key.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know if you heard that, but the commission is going to look for test bits to be performed.
that would be fine, and we will look into that.
Okay. Did you want to offer anything else?
You and I talked about doing plantings along the steep slope along the pavement.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Where the area is going to be,
So that
Yeah.
a planting plan could be submitted or
Yeah.
required.
We talked about, I don't know about like woody species, but specifying a really good shade seed mix might help. And also, I think removal of pavement is gonna go a long way to reduce erosion. We won't have that hard surface anymore. So that combination, there's an opportunity there, I think. I don't think woody species on the slope, though. I think a simple seed mix would be the best option.
Sedges.
Yeah.
I do have an additional question. It's not so much for Libby, but to bring back to the engineers, is on the infiltrating system as it's currently proposed, there is a catch basin overflow, basically a relief drain, if you will, that when the infiltrator can't take the capacity to meet the runoff, it does result in a point source discharge coming out of that overflow.
Actually, yeah.
Test pits are going to help determine to what degree that's necessary and what the impacts might be, but I think we'd be concerned of creation of a point source discharge within the 50.
Did you catch that, Libby?
I did.
Okay. All right.
So there's enough information to go forward for the next time, right?
Yeah. I just want to, we have comments from the abutter at 10 Johnson Street, Michael and Louise Donovan. So I shared that with you guys, but let me go through their questions. It's kind of long, so I'll just, concerns on the proposed project are as follows. The 4-inch retaining wall, is this going to be above grade on the south and east of the proposed plan? Will we be looking at a cement wall? Are all of the trees behind 6 and 8 Johnson and/or Hale Scales building being removed? There's a large maple tree in the middle of the proposed parking lot. Is that coming down? The large tree should come down. It is severely stressed. It has been dropping large limbs for several years now, and the top sections of the tree looks infested with something. The tree cover possibly gone to the west and south of proposed plan. What is the plan for mitigating the increased generation of heat in the summer for the asphalt?
I'm sorry, this is completely garbled.
It's static?
The applicant respond to those in writing for the next.
What should happen is the applicant has a copy of that?
I will give that.
Yeah, so the applicant should get a copy and respond for the next meeting. We can't,
Okay.
we have to move this.
All right, I just wanted to,
It's part of,
You know, it's part
so
of
it's
the
part of the
public
record.
I know.
It's part of the record. It won't be not considered. It'll be,
Okay.
and the information should go to the applicant. Mr. Chairman, I recommend we
That's fine.
we continue.
so is the sound better for you guys?
Yes, much better, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna forward you an abutters comment letter, okay, that you can respond to?
Great, we will
Okay.
appreciate that.
All right. So I think at this point, the commission has asked all their questions right now, and they'd like to continue.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
All right, so that's to the June 6th meeting?
Yep.
June 9th. June 9th, okay. Thanks, Libby.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. 221 Webster Woods.
All right, let me get the plan up. All righty. Come on. All right. All right, so, The proposed project is to demolish an existing deck, stairs, and patio underneath, rebuild a larger deck and expanded patio, both coming closer to the wetland and with larger footprints within the 75-foot no-build zone to an ephemeral pool at Wetland Series A. Installation of an 8x8 shed within the 75-foot no-build zone to the potential ephemeral pool at Wetland Series B, and all work is within existing manicured lawn. So there are two, Wetland Series A has a ephemeral pool, which Taylor and I found wood frogs in, so it's definitely, there's no question there. Wetland Series B is potential. We didn't find conclusive evidence at the time, but it's potential, and but these two wetlands don't connect, so they're separate systems. The house and deck were constructed in 2000 under an order of conditions for the Campbell Forest subdivision. Partial certificate was issued for this lot. The house and deck were compliant with the 50-foot no-build zone at that time. It appears that the ephemeral pool was not identified back in 2000. A waiver request has been submitted. I did provide very direct feedback to the applicant's consultant and the applicant himself that this is a big ask in terms of a waiver from the ephemeral pool standards. Their alternatives analysis focus on the fact that all of the work is within manicured lawn and that there's a very large ledge outcrop protecting the vernal pool from any work in between. They are offering 280 square feet of upland mitigation with some high bush blueberry and gray dogwood right in this area. The proposed shed is in this corner at the tree line, wetlands over here. So we have the existing deck here in the light gray, the light gray outline for the patio underneath, and then the darker lines represent a new deck and then a larger patio that swings around this way. I had recommended that perhaps they could operate within the existing footprints of deck and patio and move north out of the 75 with expansion. But this is the plan that they wanted to put forward, so. That's all I have.
Due to time constraints.
Yep.
This applicant is looking for 3 waivers. One of them is a shed, which I know that ain't gonna fly. And I'm sorry that we don't have the pictures. The deck, the existing deck, they said was in tough shape.
I have some pictures.
So you have the picture, it looks like brand new.
Yeah, I have pictures.
No, those are the eggs.
That does, but regardless, the alternatives analysis based that it's on lawn still doesn't deny the fact that it's gonna require waivers because it's in the ephemeral pool. So I think we should talk about the waivers first, I think, before we address the, what they're asking for, or do we go with it as we, the applicant, and go accordingly with the waivers?
Shortly, the charge of this,
Yeah.
I think it'll come out in the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, I think things have changed out there since the property was improved with the deck. Whether they need a new deck or not, they want a new deck, that's fine, but I think you gotta stay in the same footprint you're currently in without expanding beyond it. So that's my perspective.
And I exactly the same opinion that, you know, that anybody's entitled to bring a project through regardless of whether the deck's in bad shape or not. But given the fact that the deck is there, I can't allow them to get any closer than the limits of what is already there on that side. everything else outside of the 75 is fair game, but I think architecturally, they need to put that into their plan, and right now, I see this as being very, very similar to the project we just closed the hearing on. Open yard area previously disturbed, not more than 20 years old house, the federal pool never known. It's all the exact same factors, and I think the record shows where this could easily go, which is no waiver, so.
Yeah, I agree. It should, you know, we can't monitor the whole town till it comes before us. And quite evident this one has. But I'm in the shed, I don't think it should be there. And I think the deck should be replaced in kind. I don't think any expansion should be allowed based on what I've seen, but that's my opinion. Yeah?
My take on it right now is that they can do the work that they need to do and comply and stay outside of the 75. I don't see any need for a waiver. I know that the waiver is what they want, but it's not going to prevent their livability in the house. It's not going to prevent their occupancy in the house. And I would not be in favor of a waiver as proposed.
Okay.
I also think that, that there are other alternatives that should be presented and explored that would meet our bylaw. As Joe stated, we've heard some of these arguments before and not granted waivers. It's the same arguments, and so I think, you know, out of consistency and upholding the bylaw, we should ask them to, you know, explore some viable alternatives that would meet their needs, maybe to a lesser extent, but would meet the requirements of our bylaw. So,
Thank you, Jeff. All right, so we need a motion for the
So-
waiver. Oops, sorry.
Well, we do have representatives this evening, they probably want
Okay.
to speak. So go ahead.
Let them know, advise them they're going to have 5 minutes to talk.
Yeah,
Right?
5 minutes.
Sure. So my name is Jim Hanley with Civil Design Consultants, and I'm the civil engineer here working for the property owner. So appreciate the time to be able to present this to you. So I just want to take, I don't even need 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes of your time here to just kind of walk through this. I think this is a little bit different than the previous application that was in front of you tonight. And I just kind of want to walk through first some numbers and then some support on this thing. There's approximately 41,203 square feet of area within the 75-foot EPNBZ zone. We currently have, now if I share my screen, will you be able to see my screen?
Yep. Yes, we will.
Oh, so I'm gonna try to find this here. So this is the notice of intent, and this is the area of improvements. So currently disturbed on site here is.
We don't see it.
We
I'm
didn't get
sorry,
it yet.
we don't see it.
You said you cannot. I'm sorry.
We can't see it. We can't see your screen.
Okay. Hold tight 1 second. That's because I didn't share it. I guess that would be a problem. Now. So these are pictures of the existing site, just so you can kind of get a sense for what's going on. If you look at this and you look at the plan that we have in front of you, there's 140 square feet of existing disturbance in that 75-foot line. What we're proposing to do essentially is remove the existing deck and replace the existing deck. The deck stairs get flipped over on the other side and it gets extended out about 2 feet, give or take, to the edge of the patio that you can see here. And you can also see that there's a 5-foot mulch perimeter around the patio. We have a net increase of about 274 square feet out of 41,203 square feet of area inside of that 75 foot. So we're actually only increasing this by less than 1%. It's actually 0.66% of the area available in that 75 we're impacted.
All of it, again, is within maintained lawn, and I know they talked about that earlier today. There's absolutely no tree clearing, or cutting or stumping. This is, to me, kind of an important little piece here, is that we do have some topographic considerations that I think are important to appreciate. We have ledge outcroppings, we have an existing landscape wall. The actual vernal pool is in the far ground. You can see there's actually a 2 to 3 foot ledge outcropping and landscape wall in between where we're proposing to do any work and where that pool is. The existing patio, if we go over and we look at this existing patio, you can see here, this is 65 feet from the existing vernal pool, okay? What we're proposing to do is just kind of utilize the natural area that's already disturbed on the low side of the ledge here and just creep it out a few feet. We're gonna have a 58-foot separation. If we look at what's actually closer to the vernal pool, there's only 91 square feet of area disturbed with the patio that's actually closer to what's there today. You know, a parking space is 10 by 20, that's 200 square feet. So we're talking about like half a parking space, right? So 9 by 10, give or take. And what we're proposing to do to attempt to provide some mitigation is increase the vegetation in between the existing deck and obviously the proposed patio here. And we have 280 square feet. We're just going to kind of beef up this vegetation to provide an additional buffer. Amy was very clear that this was an ask, and we understand that it's an ask, but I'd ask that you appreciate the homeowner's position, that they have an existing deck that is outlived its useful life, and they'd like to be able to make this, expand this deck marginally, like literally 200 square feet, give or take, and not much closer to that vernal pool. So I know we're asking for this thing, but I think because of that topography, I think that plays a little bit different than some of the existing, the original case that was in front of us. And if you look at it, at the end of the day, our proposed patio really won't exceed the existing lawn. It's really going to be on the limits of the mulch and then carry out toward the driveway up top over here within the 75. So that's all I got. I just kind of wanted to put it out there. I know the client is, he was itching, getting ready to go, and this kind of caught him by surprise last minute. We're just trying to balance your interests as well as the client's interest. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
Thank you.
So do you need a motion? Are we moving to close? Are we moving on waivers?
I think we can continue.
I
I think they heard what we need. I'm going to ask them to go back and look at this again. The photographs are helpful with the ledge discussion, but I still don't think that answers all of the concerns with regards to the waivers. I think some better evaluation of the deck and the structure of the deck and whether it could be cantilevered and keep the foundations and the posts within the compliance might be possible. Might be, I don't know if it is. It's a bit of a reach. And I think tweaking that corner of the patio is something that can be done and ought to be looked at. And I think prior to closing or denying, I think they should have that opportunity to do that.
I agree. They should go back to the drawing board.
So it sounds like what you're asking for is an enhanced alternatives analysis that builds in some of these features that were just discussed into some alternatives that are more friendly to our bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying that.
That's fair.
I'm not saying that, just for
Okay.
the record. What I'm saying is go back to the drawing board and come back with a compliant application.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying make it comply and come back. I'm not saying what you did. So
Yep.
we're disparate a little bit, but
Yep.
in any event, I'm giving them the opportunity to go back to it and redesign it, because I personally won't vote for it as proposed.
More questions? So, can they hear us?
So did you catch that?
Do you want to continue?
Yes, we'd like to continue the hearing and try to address some of these concerns.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. And you did you get to hear the comments from the other commissioners? So that you can move forward with this?
You were able to hear our recommendations to you?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
We were able to hear it, we'll take it into consideration, and we'll do what we can.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Next one is 242-1811, 1600 Osgood Street.
All righty. So this notice of intent is for a new sewer pump station at the northern tip of 1600 Osgood Street on a .2 acre easement in a grassy area. The pump station will consist of a wet well with submersible pumps, valve vault, electrical distribution and control pad, meter vault, standby generator, asphalt driveway for access and parking, and stormwater management BMPs that include catch basins, water quality unit, subsurface infiltration chambers, and surface infiltration basin with stone level spreader. All work, aside from minor grading, is outside of the 50-foot no build zone to BVW Series 13. Stormwater report was included, and calcs show 80% TSS removal and compliant with current standards. 2.7 mile stretch of Osgood Street from Bradford Street to Sutton Street, just west of Old Clark Road, will receive new sewer line. Let's see, between Bradford and just north of 1210 Osgood will receive a gravity main to flow to the proposed pump station, and that same stretch will receive a force main. Sections of the force main that fall outside the commission's jurisdiction have already been installed, roughly between south of 1210 Osgood to south to the mouth of Commerce Way. From Commerce Way to Sutton Street east of Old Clark Road will receive the remaining stretch of force main. Gravity and force mains will be installed entirely within the paved roadway portions, of which are within the 100-foot, 50-foot, and in some cases the 25 adjacent to the wetlands, to the roadway. But again, all pipes are in pavement. Waiver request has been submitted for that work, but I confirmed with the applicant's consultant that the proposed stormwater management system for the pump station is entirely separate from anything on the Amazon site, on 1600 Osgood, on Ozzy Properties or Amazon. So this is totally separate. The responsible party is North Andover DPW for its maintenance.
Thank you.
Yep. And
Sean?
I know we have applicant representatives here this evening.
Sean?
In their application, project narrative, they state that the request for the waiver of the 25-foot and 50 is in an area that's already paved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I don't have any other questions at this point.
The applicant's representative is from Woodland and Curran. Are they on air?
Rihanna, are you with us?
Hi, yep, I'm on, and Olivia LaFont and Paul Southworth from Woodard and Curran are here too.
Great, thank you.
Hi, nice to see you. So this proposed pump station, that is on the side of the road, Osgood Street, the same side as the Amazon plant, correct?
Correct.
Now, a little further down the street, on the opposite side, there's a brick building, square, quite old. That's an existing pump station, is it not? Or is that a Haverhill facility that's right on the border?
I believe that's a Haverhill facility.
That's Haverhill's?
Yeah, there's the raised pond pump station that's off of Great Pond Road, but that's the closest one. I
Okay,
believe.
so this is literally to pick the low end up of our system in North Andover, and it's not like we're losing an opportunity in that other corner of tying additional services in. They could probably get gravity into this pump station should the need arise. And I only say that because in that area, there's also additional wetland areas that should be talked about if it's part of this filing, but it's not part of this filing. Okay. Amy, in your presentation, I think you said Bradford Street several times.
So I just tried to.
Is it Barker? Because I don't think Bradford comes down here. Is that
Bradford
the
does.
section?
Bradford does.
Even in Haverhill, that's still Bradford?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was that area that I was just talking about, okay. Are there crossings of major culverts that we are aware of? I know that there are some, in the 125 layout, there's some former state highway drainage systems that are pretty substantial. One is up near the old landfill, just northwest of the Amazon property. Do we know if the gravity feeds and the force main are going to, how they're going to interact with those culverts? Are we going under them or over them? Have we done test pits in those areas to know that yet? Because maintaining the function and the viability of those culverts are critical. And I know of at least two in that area, but there may be others. Have you done
Yep,
utility coordination yet?
Yep, we've surveyed the entire area and taken the inverts of the culverts. So on the plans that were included, you can see in some areas we're going under and then some above. And then MassDOT has also reviewed the application as I believe they own those culverts.
Okay, so maintaining, I guess when we go over them, not much of a concern at all, cut and cover. When we go under them, there's dewatering issues and there's going to be some concern of maintaining flow. Are you tunneling, are you directional boring? Are you going to be excavating? May not have been determined yet, but I think we need to anticipate those and come up with a design at each of those crossings that we go under.
Yep, definitely. And typically when it's just a typical trench like this, given the size of the pipe that we're putting under, typically the culvert can just be braced in the trench. So we won't have to, cut into those or remove those at all.
Yeah, we had a former project here near our high school where we had concern with a culvert that really was functioning like a bridge, and we had pointed it out during the design process, and in the course, they didn't pay heed to that, and the result was a pretty major change order that they ended up having to put the pipe right through the culvert, which was not possible. I just want to make sure we prevent that. As a taxpayer in town, I don't think we should have surprises. So knowing exactly how we cross these culverts is very important at this permitting process, where it's in our jurisdiction.
Yep.
And that's all I have for now.
Definitely.
I'm all set, yep.
Yeah, the only question I have, maybe in the future we can look at that, I brought up the question of stormwater on the building, the pump station, and I considered it part of the application, I thought, for Amazon. They gotta do a stormwater management plan for the site. It's on the site, so I thought that should be part of their calculations, and they're telling us no. So it's okay, but I raised the question, if the site is so many acres, still, stormwater plan should incorporate the whole site, not just where the building is. The water from all the other areas have to go somewhere.
Well,
So,
we may be saying two different things. I think responsibility is what you're ultimately getting at, but I think the reality is, as part of this filing, we have a facility. It's not a single-family house, or it's not 3 single-family lots or more, where stormwater would be either exempt or kick into gear. It's an institutional development, and they need to meet the stormwater standards, so that's a given, it has to meet.
Right.
So who's responsible for it is a debate between, the applicant being the town, or the landowner being Amazon, but I think it has to comply.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I just
Regardless of
don't-
who's
I-
responsible.
That was my question was, who should be responsible for it, but
Well, the
they're
town
saying,
is.
they're saying they're not
The town is listed as a responsible party for maintenance.
on the application.
Yes.
Just because they did
Who's
it
bringing
that
the
way.
application? Is this a joint application, or is,
No.
In the introduction, it says, on behalf of the town of North Andover Department of Public Works, the applicant. So the applicant
Right.
is the town of North Andover according to attachment A, and Epsilon is submitting it on behalf of the town.
and I don't think we have the time to dive into it. The reality is, it must meet stormwater standards, and whoever they want to assign the financial responsibility, design responsibility, that's a discussion amongst them.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right
Okay,
there, right there in the
I just raised the
project
question
narrative.
because,
Okay.
we represent the town, and the town doesn't have to spend money. I
Well,
think it's a wonderful
They
thing.
estimated about $1,000 a year
What's
for
that?
maintenance. That's what they list.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the design of the
Oh, I'm
drainage
sorry, I
systems.
thought you meant long-term O&M.
No, right now, they're proposing, from what I can tell, I guess I can't really tell because there's lack of, based on the sheets I have, it's a lack of information. But maybe somewhere in here, there's information that shows exactly what that site plan specific to the pump station looks like.
It's in there.
And there is,
Should be.
C-201. So it looks like they're just sheet flowing everything to an infiltration basin. And is there stormwater analysis, drainage calcs that support this stormwater management system?
Question for, did you hear that question?
Yes, there's a stormwater report included.
Yeah. And I guess one of my questions to the commission was whether you wanted to third-party peer review that. I didn't know if this rose to the level of a third-party peer review for stormwater.
Exactly the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, it's the town. But if we don't have to, unless we feel that it's high impact, I don't think we should make the town go out for a third party.
Lou, if it helps.
Catch basin.
If it helps, and if we have questions, then okay. But they have the calculations here, I believe. I've got somebody reviewing.
Well, I hate to say it, there's a lot of information. Let me dive into the site plan itself and comment at the next meeting. And in the meantime, take it under advisement. I don't think it needs to go for third party today, but
No.
maybe it does before we close.
All right. Al, do you have any questions?
No, I just referenced, that the applicants provided attachment A project narrative, and on page 1, and it's page 1, 2, and 3, it's pretty clear. So I have no questions at this time.
Jack?
Just to clarify, the only waivers of 25 and 50 are the
Pipe
pipes
in pavement.
in pavement. Okay, no more questions.
And it's an exempt activity.
Yep.
Okay. So we need a motion to continue. So
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's yes. We'll
All
just
right.
review, Joe wants to review the documents, and that's why we're continuing, so.
Did you catch that? You guys?
Yep, so we'll just continue, but no questions for us, just more time for you to review the stormwater report.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next one is 242-1812, 42 Huckleberry. All right, did we get the letter?
Let me get back to, yes, I do. Hold on.
We
Let me
did get a
get.
letter?
Huh?
Did we get a letter?
Neighbors? Yes.
We did, okay.
Yeah, let me just get back to project the plan. Okay, Huckleberry.
busy. Come on. All right. All right, so this notice of intent is for the construction of an in-ground pool, associated grading, retaining wall, riprap slope, concrete patio, stairs, fencing, and pool equipment. All work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, but outside the 50-foot no-build zone with an existing turf lawn. Construction access is going to be over the neighbor's property on this side. We have a letter from the neighbor granting permission for that access, as the original access was going to be on the left side of the house, which was very tight, about 6.5 feet up against the house and the existing riprap slope.
Thanks.
So we'll have access this way. Retaining wall cross-section is provided for a typical Versalock modular concrete block wall. And the top elevation of the wall is between 163 and 166.5, with an actual height varying from 1/2 foot to 4.5 feet. The work is 50.6 feet from the edge of BVW. No waivers are requested. There is a detention basin located between the area of work and the wetland, with a riprap retaining wall between the edge of lawn and the basin itself. Wetlands and Land Management delineated the wetland, and conservation staff found it to be accurate. And the engineer indicated that he does not anticipate encountering groundwater for excavation, because this is an area of elevated fill. And that's all I have for description.
Sean?
I don't have any questions.
Joe?
I don't have questions. The plan I have is very,
I know,
very
it's-
difficult scale.
Well, but-
Do we have this electronically so I can look at it reasonably with
Yeah,
63-year-old
I got-
eyes? Because I can't see it.
Yeah, I-
What I'm looking at specifically is, I'm hearing words like retaining wall,
All right.
first of all, between 1.5 and 4 feet. And what I'm looking at is, that's to the bottom of the wall itself, and then beyond that, there's still a boulder slope.
Right,
Is
so
what it
I-
looks like, so.
I'm blowing it up here. So, following my cursor, this is this is the proposed Versalock wall. And then, this is the existing riprap wall that goes,
So that's
Yeah.
already there?
it's already there.
Okay, I thought that was being proposed
Oh,
in
yeah, no,
addition.
no, no.
Okay,
No. So,
And I think from what I've seen, it's more aesthetics than structural.
so we do have representatives, so, but if you guys have questions.
I'm all set for now.
Sean? I'm gonna use that.
Oh, yeah, we had no questions.
I brought up the construction access, because they were gonna put on that side, and it was like, to get 12 feet, it was like a 6-foot incline. No way we're gonna get anything in there. So then they wanna go this way, well, they gotta get permission, because they're gonna be actually on the people's property.
So it was originally gonna be here, but this is really tight. So instead, it will be here. This is the property line. This is a PRD, so we have reduced setbacks from zoning. And so we have written permission to access this way over neighbor's property.
I just want to be clear on that. Anything that's before us, with regards to conservation matters, we don't grant or extend or offer any other legal rights other than what already exists, other than the NOI and the order conditions. So if this relationship deteriorates and the access suddenly goes away, we have not granted rights to that neighbor's land regardless of the letter.
Right.
If they can't get access in the future and they have an NOI that allows them to do the work, all bets are off. They gotta work that out.
Okay.
So it's good to have the letter, but we're just, that's only just for the record. We're not granting any permission,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they had, before we approved the project, that they had some type of access, because there's no way they're gonna do it on the other side of the house. So that, then they went, we called them on it, and they, matter of fact, they put stockpile in front of the house with no access to it. How
Well,
was
it's,
it gonna get there?
would just be really, really, really difficult.
And I don't think it rises to the necessity of putting an easement in place, to document that right.
No.
That's between neighbors.
Right, right. But
So Joe, if you're, what you're saying is if that option goes away, they come back to us?
They simply have a project they can't build, they just can't access.
Yeah, that they
And,
can
and
access. Okay.
we're not granting any right, we're not extending any
Yeah,
right.
gotcha.
no, we can't anyways.
It's right in our order of conditions,
No,
it's
oh, I
one of
know,
the
I
preambles,
know.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Al,
No questions, no waivers, no questions.
there you go. Jack?
Looks like the pool equipment is about, I don't know, 60 or less feet from the wetland line, 57 feet. Yeah, well,
Pool-
anyway,
pool equipment.
we typically require like a non-discharge, non-backwash type filter.
Yes, yep,
So we should require it at this, especially where
cartridge
it's.
style.
I thought we had that written in the order.
That's, I think so too, I think that's a boilerplate.
Yeah, that's part of boilerplate.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
That'll be a condition.
Yeah, so good. No other questions?
All right, so we need a motion.
So I don't know if our representative wanted to say anything.
Well, they might not have to. Are you
Well, I don't have
satisfied?
any-
might
Are you
not have
satisfied?
I don't have any more follow-up on the blown-up picture.
If we're not requiring any new information, I would say we're ready to close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, I think we're good with the plan.
Steve knows better than to ask any questions
Okay.
right now.
I'm just gonna take the access arrow off the plan and resend it to it tomorrow.
Okay,
All right, so we need a motion.
all
Move
right.
that we close an issue in 21 days.
Second.
Well, this doesn't have any numbers on this
Oh, shoot.
the agenda that I'm looking at.
Yeah, that was it.
2421812,
1812?
Yep.
Yeah,
is that right?
Oh, yeah, okay, 242-1812. Move to close, issue in 21 days.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Next one's
Thank
continued.
you, Chip, Mr. Johnson.
All right. Next one is 242-1810, requested continue to June 9th.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1787, 135 North Ramp Road, requested continue to June 23rd.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242, no number, 59 Appleton Street, requested continue to 6/9/21.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. And now we're gonna do RDAs, and I have one here, 415 Boxford Street, requested continue till June 9th.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 234 Hay Meadow Road.
All right.
Do you think we can do this in 10 minutes, or?
Yeah, this is.
Okay.
Oh,
should be
absolutely.
Very
2
good.
minutes.
Yep.
This is no option, Joe. We're gonna get it.
Good.
All right, so this is an after-the-fact request for determination of applicability for work that involves simply replacing deck boards and railings on an existing deck in the same footprint. Footings were not touched, no ground disturbance. We performed a site inspection, did a measurement, and the deck is 74 feet to the wetland at its closest point, which pretty much corresponds with the mean annual high water for this perennial stream. So it's in riverfront and buffer, but honestly, it was simply replacing deck boards and railings, and that's it. And there was no evidence of any ground disturbance whatsoever, and I saw no outstanding issues, so. So I recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 2 and a number 3 because of riverfront.
Anybody have any questions?
No, sir, no.
All right, we'll have a motion.
I move that we close an issue.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. We can squeeze one more, Joe.
Okay.
168 Campbell Road. This is a no-brainer also.
All right. Let's see,
Well,
plans.
for the request for determination, shouldn't we be doing it, not closing and issuing, should we be doing a negative or a positive?
Granting a negative 2 and 3.
Right, that's what I
Yes,
said.
I think that's
Oh,
what, I
thought
think
that's
that's
what
what, I thought that's what I heard.
I
Yeah.
thought that's.
I
what
thought you
said.
moving the
Yeah,
recommendation.
I thought that's what I heard. I thought you moved the recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. All right, so, this project is an RDA for the installation of a natural gas, line connection off of, okay. Let me see if I can
Please.
clockwise this. All right. All right. All right. Okay, so installation of natural gas PVC pipe off of Campbell Road. The line will be installed partially within the existing driveway for a stretch of 25 feet, closest to Campbell, just off Campbell, and then the remainder will be installed along the edge of the driveway on the southwest side. Work is within the 25-foot no disturb zone to wetlands located on either side of the driveway, and a vernal pool is located on the easterly side. A trench of 1 to 2 feet wide, 2 to 3 feet deep will be dug using backhoes and excavators. Trenching operations will be limited to the length that can be completed in one day, usually 50 to 200 feet, depending on field conditions. Excavated material will be temporarily placed alongside the trench and reused as backfill. The pipe will then be installed, backfilled, and tamped. Previously paved areas in the public way will be repaved, and any remaining excavated material will be responsibility of the homeowner. We can condition that to be removed from site. Let's see. Conservation, so the applicant submitted a waiver request, and the alternative was looking at coming off of Lions Way because there is gas in Lions Way. However, the area between Lions Way and the house is heavily wooded with large trees, strewn with boulders, and there are ledge outcrops evident. So that route seems to be a lot more challenging than the existing shoulder of the driveway, which is, sparsely vegetated because of shade. So I think staff does concur with the alternative that really the driveway shoulder is the best way to go. And so I don't think there's any alternatives. I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3 with a waiver allowing that work with conditions that I proposed in my recommendations.
Thank you. All right, so we need a motion on the waiver.
Any discussion? Any questions?
Oh, questions, Sean, I'm sorry.
So the trench is going to be on the same side of a paved road as the wetland for a stretch?
So, let me just pull this up again. So there's a wetland here on this side, on the easterly side, and a little wetland on the westerly side.
Yep.
So the easterly side has the major wetland, and the westerly side has a much smaller B-series wetland.
Yep.
So they are on the westerly side, the B-series side with the trench,
Yep.
which I think there's probably more wiggle room. Well, actually, I suppose, well, you're going to be in the no disturb zone no matter what, but I don't know, I suppose you could,
That's a paved driveway or gravel?
It's paved.
Can they get it further away from that B series by putting it on the other side of the pavement?
That's true.
Can you, is it
Yeah.
unreasonable to say put it under the pavement? I don't know.
True.
It's a temporary disturbance anyways, right? I mean, it's, well, I mean, it's the disturbance, at least the above-ground disturbance is temporary. They're just digging a ditch, they're putting in the line, and they're putting it back to its prior
Yeah.
state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What, a gas line's only, what, 18 inches?
I was gonna ask that question.
I think,
Yeah.
I think it's only 18 inches, I believe. I don't think,
It's-
I haven't seen it.
Trench,
Huh?
they're saying, the work description from Eversource states 2 to 3 feet deep to be
2
dug.
to 3 feet, okay.
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid frost.
Huh?
They want to avoid frost.
Yeah.
They don't want frost to heat the line.
Right.
So do they do that, do they examine that alternative and rule it out, going on the other side of the driveway or under the driveway?
I think they wanted to avoid ripping up or trenching into the entire driveway.
Yep.
But your point about being on,
Crossing the driveway at one point and getting on
yeah, and
the
then getting over
other side of the
to the
driveway.
easterly side. Yeah,
So,
Well, the thing is,
I mean-
we'd have to grant the waiver either way.
well, yeah.
Yeah, but you're just getting, yeah.
No, I understand what you're
Yes,
saying,
I
though.
know
You're
this.
getting,
I thought we addressed that question. I can't remember what the answer was.
yeah, I think part of it was we were trying to get from Lions Way.
No, we talked about putting it on the other side also, but
Yeah.
Lions Way was
Yeah,
the main factor.
right.
So,
So, I mean, I guess where I am is practically speaking, I don't know if it amounts to a hill of beans, but for the purpose of consistency, somebody tell me why that alternative doesn't work.
Right, no, I
And
get
then
it.
I'll move away.
No,
Well,
I
the
get
biggi-
it.
The biggest problem, I have not visited this particular site, but the biggest problem with that area is the tremendously large amount of boulders and ledge and things that you just can't believe are out there until you
Start digging.
Start digging, and it's like, it's really unbelievable. So when they say it's not feasible due to a large amount of ledge and boulders, I absolutely believe them.
this isn't, and that's not through the applicant. Taylor went out there himself and did a site, so it's a representative of the town that went out there to say that it was not feasible.
Oh, yeah, we
to go through there.
verified. I mean,
So, I mean, it wasn't the applicant or their engineer or whatever.
In fact, that's the site of the original discovery made by a former member of this commission named Carl Shaney, who discovered a boulder effect for the transmission of water and the connection of wetland ecosystems. Never been done before. Made case law with MACC.
wow.
Yeah. It was known as the Shaney boulder effect. And it was on this location due to the tremendous amount of boulder and ledge and things, so.
I'm sure people are fact-checking at home right now.
They can
The
fact
Shaney
check
boulder effect.
until hell freezes over.
Yeah.
I was here when it happened.
We've got big shoes to fill.
That's right.
So Sean, do you want,
Oh, is the applicant is the applicant on the line?
yeah, is the
Can somebody-
applicant with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks. So we're just talking about the fact that maybe switching sides of the driveway for the trenching on the shoulder. Was that looked at by Eversource?
Yes, it was the original suggestion from Eversource. But when the contractor came over, he said he won't be able to fit any machinery on that side.
Oh, fit the machinery on that side?
Yep, because it's it's a ditch. It's not big enough.
Based on your site visits, Taylor,
Up at the top of the driveway.
what did
So
you
they
see
could-
on the right? Is there a drop off?
It seemed pretty level.
Level.
further up, closer to the house,
Level closer to the house, but
Yeah.
perhaps
dropping off closer to the road, I would say.
level here, and then drops off closer to the house, like,
Let me show you.
Well, those are tope lines, right?
So it kind of drops off a little bit.
Or
here.
no? No tope lines.
so it drops off.
Yeah, a little bit. And then this is, you know,
So
Not too
is it
steep.
flatter on this side?
yeah,
It's flatter on the
Yeah.
B-series side.
yeah,
So there's more of a slope
yeah, more of a slope on the right side.
on the right side.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
got it. We just have topo that drops off, but, so based on his site
I heard.
observation. Okay, well, whatever.
Got it.
All right, I don't have to repeat it. Okay.
Interpret. I didn't understand a word he said. What did he say?
You
No, I'm
did?
just kidding.
Oh, God! Come on.
No, I'm good. I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Jack?
Looks like temporary disturbance to me. I have no other questions.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion for the waiver.
Recommendate?
Go ahead. Here's the recommendation.
That's, go ahead, Al.
I was just gonna respectfully move the recommendation as printed
With
in
the
its
wa-
entirety.
With the waiver, okay.
Waiver, vote for the waiver?
That includes the waiver?
That was my intention.
Okay. All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous. Okay, we're all
So
set.
I'm going to assume Jack seconded.
I
that.
seconded, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, Alex, we're all set. We'll get your.
So I'm good?
Yep, we'll get your permit out probably early next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we move to issue a -3, is that what, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, it was it would be a -3 with conditions and a waiver.
Got it.
Okay, next one is 895 4th Street.
Would you like fries with that, Al?
Yes, and a bag of chips, if you don't mind.
All right. Oh, come on.
8:32.
Can I- All right, of course. I'm gonna rotate this thing. All right. Okay, so this is a request for determination of applicability for maintenance within an existing paddock, which is currently a muddy mess. In its current state, the risk of sediment runoff into the wetland is very high. The homeowner is proposing to grade the area and excavate down to a depth of no greater than 12 inches and add a layer of stone dust or sand and a top dressing of gravel to improve drainage and stabilize the area that is crosshatched in purple. Most of the work is occurring within a 100-foot buffer zone to BVW and 50-foot no-build at its closest point, but work is no closer than 25. We have an established field stone wall that delineates the 25, and that's being respected. The property was before the commission in 2016 for the approval of installation of 2 sheds and a chicken coop and a fence, all located in this areas that you see. So the Purple Hatch is an existing paddock that's basically dirt, and it gets pretty muddy. So they're looking to just take out some of that dirt, bring in sand and stone, and have a more stable situation. So I recommend closing the hearing and issuing a -3 with conditions as I discussed in my recommendations.
No questions?
No questions.
I have no questions and no problems with the application.
Not a one.
Okay, motion.
Move -3.
With conditions.
Conditions is recommended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next one. 415 Chestnut Street.
All right. Okay, so this is an RDA for the demolition of a rear deck and construction of a larger deck off the rear of the house. And the other part of the project involves a proposed deck out at the front of the house to connect both front doors at 7 by 34. And the front deck is over an existing set of landings with brick landings with steps, which will be removed, and dry laid bluestone stepping stones. So you can kind of see that in the picture, that this stuff is already existing, but all of that will be removed and replaced with a deck. Okay, so Rimmer Environmental delineated the wetland. So this is Mosquito Brook out front. There's, this is the road. And we have Mosquito Brook. We have a fringe BBW on either side. We have an existing retaining wall right here, so nothing's going to be closer than that existing retaining wall, which follows partly the 50-foot no build, and the front deck is 66 feet to the edge of BBW at its closest point.
No questions.
Al?
I have no questions.
Jack?
None.
Motion.
So I recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3 and number 2 with conditions as I recommended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
So you're all set. We're good, Mary. Okay, thanks. All right.
All right, next one. 1520 4th Street, extension.
All righty, let me get this up. All right. All righty. All right, so this is an after-the-fact RDA for demolition of an existing deck and construction of a patio in its place. That is 95 feet from the BBW at its closest point, and a chicken coop that was installed that is 60 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland. We actually found these to be unpermitted based on our site visits for a tree removal request. So we asked him to stop all work, submit an after-the-fact RDA for this material, for these work elements, as they wouldn't require a waiver and is perfectly approvable. Let's see. And so we're proposing erosion controls between the patio work, which I think, has he already done that?
Yeah,
He's already done, the homeowner has already installed erosion controls
Yeah.
per our enforcement letter. And he's stopped work waiting for approval for this.
Good.
Yep. And that's really a synopsis of what's going on here. So I recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative 3. Just maintaining erosion controls and a post-construction inspection with the Conservation Department to verify compliance.
Thank you. Sean?
No questions?
Al?
Question.
Jack?
He's got a question.
The project, I have a question. The project is listed as 1520 Forest Street Extension.
Yes.
The WPA Form 1, request for determination of applicability, listed as 1520 Stonecleave Road in Boxford.
No, I know.
What do we have here?
No, the mailing address is Stonecleave. Because of in Boxford, right?
Well, that's what it says on
Right.
this.
That's correct. So
Okay.
it's the same thing as 1470 Forestry Extension.
Okay,
You have to go into Boxford to get back into North Andover.
okay.
And so,
So that's the legal address?
yes.
But it's physically located?
The physical property
In North
is in
Andover?
North Andover.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
satisfied.
Yep,
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure we had it right.
yeah, no,
Somebody's going to be looking for a mortgage discharge at some point in the future, and if the address is wrong.
no. Gotcha,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
We have a motion and
Do we have a motion?
yeah, Jack made the motion.
Okay, Jim.
And who seconded? You second?
I will.
Sean seconded.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Next one is 242-1721, 562 Boxer Street.
562 bucks. All righty. All right, so the commission will recall reviewing a request for modification for elements within the 75-foot no-build to a vernal pool. And the commission voted to deny that request and ask for an amendment, which is a hearing and a butter notification, and ask that the applicant value engineer these requests so that it shrinks encroachment into the 75 as much as possible. At the last meeting, there was a patio and at the back here, and there was discussion about not coming closer than the existing dwelling that has been built. So what they did was shrink down, there was a patio and decks, I'm sorry. And so what they did is shrink down the egress areas to granite landings and stairs with a walkway instead of a patio, granite landing and stairs, and the bulkhead is here. And then a walkway out to the driveway. There was a gas line that was proposed around this corner, but they were able to move it and stayed out of the 50-foot. The front porch remains the same as proposed previously, and I had provided the commission pictures of the house built, the shell right now. We have a front door that's roughly in the middle right here. And so the discussion was that the front porch could be shrunk and removed from the 75. And I did communicate that to the applicant and the project engineer. They came back with an alternatives analysis that starts in the beginning with the pre-existing house that was demolished. So they start with calculations with how much of that pre-existing house was in the no disturb zone to the vernal pool and no build zone. So I can go through the square footages if you want, but that's the crux of their analysis, that in the end, they have 40 square feet less encroachment than what the original demolished house covered in the ephemeral pool zones. The approved house footprint was to be 50.4 feet from the wetland, and the actual new foundation is 52.5, so we got a little bit farther away from the wetland than approved. And I know we have applicant representatives with us this evening, so I mean, I don't know if, you know, I don't think you really want me to start rattling off square
No.
footages here. But I wrote them down for you, so.
So, we worked in the front of the house, and they adamant about the front porch, even though there was clearly an alternative to the front porch. So on that note, I'll leave it up to Sean.
So what was the term you were using a second ago? Not the original approved dwelling, you said
The house that was there. So the order of conditions governed the demolition of an existing house.
Yep.
That was partially within the 50-foot no disturb zone to the vernal pool and 75-foot no build zone to the vernal pool.
Yep.
And so the order allowed for its demolition and a new house footprint to be outside of the 50-foot no disturb, but partially in the 75 no build.
Gotcha.
Because I think we were backing up against, well, I mean, we had, I think part of it was, we had a septic system we had to fit on the lot as well. This is not sewered, so.
So we issued an order in 2018
To build this house and now to try to change it.
to raise and build.
To raise and build.
So then, how did that get us to where we are tonight?
So, the approved plan had a box for a house.
Okay.
And that's it. No walkways, no decks,
Okay.
you know, no porches, nothing.
How big was the box? It must have, did have something on it, right? It had measurements, I would assume.
Did the approved plan just simply allow for the new house to go where the old house was without requiring waivers? Is that how we worded it?
No.
In other words, we had a non-compliant house that was raised.
You had a non-compliant house that was raised.
But we said you can put a new one there.
Not in the same footprint.
No?
Well, I mean, square footage,
We must have done something because
Right.
the new house was gonna be non-compliant too.
right,
So at some point, we must have recognized that in the order somehow.
right.
So then if we recognize that in the order, how did we get to this point here where there's now a request for amendment? What are they trying to amend?
Porches.
The porch?
Porches.
Walkways,
Walkways.
porches,
So the house
stairs,
that we
landings.
permitted didn't have any walkways or porches on it?
No, it had
No.
simply the house box.
So,
and that's
you know
it.
what, the buyer beware, that's what they asked for.
Well, okay.
If I ask you for a box, and that's what you give me, that's my problem.
And I have heard this articulated from the commission before, where people said, you know, it's just a box there, you don't have a porch, you don't have this, well, just keep in mind, that's,
We've run into this before.
Yeah.
Okay, where people put it, some people call it a box, some people call it an envelope. You can call it anything you want. It's supposed to be a structure that doesn't have all the things that structures have. And then they come back later asking for those things.
I hear you.
We're doing pretty good with that, because we pick up on it. But
Yep.
unfortunately, here, we didn't pick up on it. And it's not our fault anyways. But I'm just saying, I know they've done their best with the back.
So the request is for what?
The main kicker on this whole project is the front porch.
Porch.
The front porch. The front porch could be, the door is to the center of the building, I believe, or pretty close.
And the original house had a front porch.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But
So we don't know if the original.
we don't know what it was. It was just an old
It
farmhouse.
had, the original house had like a front set of stairs and a back deck with stairs.
But, you know, I gotta give John credit for his imagination. I've never had that heard from my life. You raised the building, but you still wanna use the stormwater calculations of the old building
And you know what?
on the new
Well,
building.
John's with us this
He's here, I
evening,
can
we
see
could
him.
give him a
Go right
chance
Yeah, I
to
know,
talk.
you know what, we could spend all night on this thing,
No, I know.
and we're not going to.
All right, so first, we can start off, they need a waiver. So, we'll start off with that.
I think they should come back to
Jack,
us. I think they should.
Did you have
I
any
think-
questions?
I
We
think they should go
probably-
back. My humble
Okay, go
opinion,
ahead.
my humble opinion is, and then I'll shut up. John, you should go back to the drawing board and come back with a different plan. And that's just me. I'm one guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
No, I appreciate the need for access out the rear of the dwelling. Could it be more friendly? Maybe, but they gotta have to have access to those doors. I don't know why the front porch can't be outside the 75-foot no-build zone. That's really the glaring weakness I see in this plan.
That's the amendment.
Yeah.
But also the walkways in the back.
Yeah,
But
walkways in the
I
back.
think they need them for access to the
I
house.
mean, we're trying to work,
Yeah,
but
but the front,
we're getting resistance on the other side, so I mean,
maybe we should ask the question in the hearing, why can't we keep the front porch outside the 75-foot no-build zone?
Can you answer that, John?
Yes, good evening to the record. John Moore, Group. And we're here tonight in Jim Hyder, one amendment request for 562 Oxford Street. So the reason we proposed, what we did is when we got retained, we went back, reviewed the original application and what was approved. And as the commission pointed out, or as Amy pointed out, the original house that was approved was a building envelope and a driveway. So what we did is we went back, evaluated how much square footage of that house was in the no-build zone, and then we calculated how much square footage of the proposed dwelling with the front porch would be in the no-build zone. And we determined that the existing dwelling with the front porch as proposed all the way across was actually less than the existing structure that was in the no-build. And Amy, if I could share my screen.
Yep. Go ahead.
Amy, is this an after the fact? No.
Okay.
Can you guys see that?
We can see it.
Yep.
Might
So
want-
you should see,
Blow it
what
up.
we
blow it,
did,
yeah, blow it up.
can you see that?
Yeah,
So what we did is we superimposed the approved dwelling footprint from the original order onto the proposed plan, and you can see that the existing structure is further from the wetland and from the ephemeral pool habitat line than the proposed structure. You can also see that the whole right side of the structure is further away. The front porch that we're proposing is about 3 feet in front of the existing building envelope. And again, we calculated the square footage of the structure and the porch within that no-build zone, and it's actually less than what was approved. So we felt that it was viable to ask to allow for the construction of the porch. The porch could be moved outside that 75-foot and still get to the front door, but we felt that as proposed, it was in substantial compliance with the building footprint that was approved. And with regards to the back doors, when Mr. Hyder built the house, the issue we have is he wasn't aware that there was no walkways or patios, so the house that was built has doors on the back. And there's a set of sliders right off the kitchen, off the back rear. So what we did, as you may recall, the original plan had a proposed deck with a big patio. We've reduced all of that down to just the landing. We need 3 steps to get down to existing grade. And there's a bulkhead over there, and then we've got a walkway. So what we did at that point is we evaluated the additional square footage in the no disturb or the no build zone associated with those items, and it's approximately 231 square feet. So I went back and evaluated the existing dwelling that was raised on this site, as Amy had pointed out, was actually within the no disturb zone and the no build zone. And that was approximately 814 square feet. And the structures that we're proposing in the no build zone is, as Amy pointed out, 40 square feet less than what previously existed in both the no build and the no disturb. And we're offering, under the original application, there was approximately 2,480 square feet of mitigation plantings in an area that was previously altered on the site. And that's this crosshatched area that you see over here to restore what I'm assuming was lawn area that was being used back to a resource area. So we felt that the project as proposed, well, before I get to that, so we did file, we assumed that the building, the original building, a waiver request was submitted for that. So we did not submit any additional waiver requests because we were still within the same square footage as the existing structure. We did submit an additional waiver request for the walkways and the landing out back and the bulkhead. But what we felt was the project as proposed was still resulted in less structure in the zones than what previously existed, and it's further away than what was approved. We did design the walkway so that the walkway was actually no closer to the wetland than the existing structure was approved to the wetland. And with the mitigation areas, the project after the fact is, a net benefit to the resource area. So we felt it was a valid request. But if the commission feels that we have to move the porch, I mean, we could definitely move the porch. And the other thing that we could do, if we could keep the porch as is, another option is to eliminate the walkway from this back landing and just do stepping stones and just have the walkway coming off this other set, which is outside the 75-foot no build. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Sean?
I don't have any questions. I don't, I think there was a building there. It is gone. It's kind of a new canvas at that point. There was an NOI that was granted that is the new canvas, and this is an amendment from that. So it's concerning the calculations that were done, as far as what was being occupied before versus now, I don't find that really all that persuasive in this argument concerning a waiver request at this point in time.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you. That was a first for me. If we wanted to, allow certain things, fine. But for me, to even consider a waiver, it would be moving the porch out of there because it can be done. Unfortunately, the back half of the house, it's already built, and there really isn't much they could do there.
Well, he did mention he was willing to do stepping stones back there. I did hear that as a...
Or even impervious pavers.
Yeah. But so I do agree with you on the front porch. I agree with you, and now it's, at least where I'm at is, as far as the back.
Because there clearly is an alternative to the front porch. The back, if I remember correctly, the slider is in the back.
The slider is
And it would
here.
be really difficult to,
Right here.
so I mean, if we were being, we did miss the boat on this one.
Well, there's two possibilities here, as I see it, and it would require somebody doing some homework. When we issued the order of conditions to raise and rebuild, it's possible, I know in the past, I don't know if on this project, but in the past, when we've been confronted with a pre-existing non-compliant structure being replaced by a new non-compliant structure, we have grandfathered certain features of the house for purposes of not having the person lose their buildability. If the order of conditions, or if the deliberations on this order that was dated 2000 and, come on, man.
May 24th, 2018.
That's the one I'm looking for. If that indicates that we, during the discussion or during our deliberations, considered the new structure to be grandfathered, then problem would be solved. If there's no grandfathering in any of the discussion or deliberations or in the order, then the next thing is the new work that we're talking about has to be brought into compliance. It can't, in my humble opinion, it's just not, doesn't fall into the category of, a waiver or else. So it was either grandfathered or it's not, and if it's not, it's got to meet the setbacks, I think.
It was, my recollection of this application, I don't remember any grandfather of anything.
I mean, it's a Hail Mary, but you look it up and you see if we did. Because I know in the past, we've talked about that before. We've had many filings over the years that involved a demolition and replacement, or partial demolition and replacement that would be non-compliant. The house would have been built 50, 60, 70 years ago, and it didn't comply then, but the rules are different, and I know that that's something that's been done. I just don't know if it exists in the order, so. It's either, John, in my opinion, John, it's either that or just make it comply, please.
Jack?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's similar to that. I think we have the house that was approved. John, you laid out a pretty good story on, effective story on your approach to enhance the site. But at the same time, we've got a chance to minimize impacts in the 75-foot no-build zone. I think we should do that as part of this amendment, which means, speaking of the front porch, it needs to be cut back or moved or whatever, but I believe it should be removed from the 75-foot no-build. And I think your proposal of modifying that impervious area within the no-build in the rear of the house could be addressed with, pervious pavers or pervious asphalt, or another means that would minimize the impact within the zone. Keeping in mind that we need to provide access to those sliders and make this house workable and practical. So that would be my approach, my suggestion.
Well, you've gotten feedback, John, from the commission. Would you consider continuing and revamping the plans?
Or do some research. In any event, we should continue to give him a chance to research the order to see if there was any grandfathering mentioned, and if not, submit a revised plan.
Okay.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, we'd request you continue to the next hearing.
Okay.
Okay, very good. I'll oblige you. So moved.
Second?
You can't second, you're the
No,
chair.
I'm saying, asking you second. I'm not seconding anything.
Okay,
All
so
right.
but,
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
Go ahead, Amy.
so we are still operating under Baker's emergency order, which indefinitely extends orders of conditions and other decisions.
Okay.
That's going to end June 15th, and by the grace of that order, this order of conditions is still viable. So I'm going to recommend that the applicant come in for a request for an extension, because I think we can still do that.
Yeah, we can.
So
Amy,
Yep.
can I just interrupt for 1 minute?
Yep.
I thought when Mr. Hyder filed the modification request, I believe he submitted an extension
Never mind,
request at that
forget
time.
it. You're right.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thanks for reminding me.
Sure.
It's all your fault.
We appreciate the help, John.
Glad I told you this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
Okay, so we stand continued, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you're continued, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
All right. Next one. 242-1692, request to continue till June 9th.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. COC request for 242-1694, 25 Hidden Road.
Okay, so this order of conditions issued in December of 2016 governed removal of an existing in-ground swimming pool, associated concrete patio and fencing, and conversion to lawn, and a new paver patio with a walkway. Replace an existing wood deck with a new one in the same footprint. There was also expansion of lawn and associated grading proposed up to the edge of the 25-foot no-disturb zone. Work was also within 200-foot riverfront area to Mosquito Brook. The limit of work has been respected, and the site is stable, and the wetland markers are installed. The patio, in terms of deviations from the approved plan, include the patio is smaller than proposed, the deck is further from the wetland than proposed. There is a swing set that's installed within the lawn area, a small portion of which is in the 50-foot no-build zone, so the play area was not part of the approved plan. And a fence was installed along the top of the new sloped lawn. That is inside the 50-foot no-build, but 35 feet to the edge of the BVW at its closest point. So that's what we have for deviations. In consultation with the chair, he did note that the commission does allow fencing in the 50-foot no-build zone. The play area is on an existing mulched area, so it's not like it's timbers or, and it's fully within established lawn. So, other than that, you know, the site is stable, the patio's smaller, deck is further away.
Picture tells, pictures
Can I
tell
have
the
a motion,
story.
Mr. Chairman?
Sean,
So,
any questions?
I think, did I provide photos?
I don't
Yeah,
have it.
Let me,
You got it, John?
so here's the play structure.
Oh, there you are.
Mostly, you can see it's like mulch.
Yeah,
Um,
this picture's better, but that's okay.
And it's the patio and the deck,
Yeah, she's got some good ones behind you too, Lou.
This is a better picture.
and that's another picture.
It really gives you an idea.
That's what we got. So this is, you know, it's not like a huge play
No,
structure, but
And away from the wetlands, it's well-established lawn, it's on contour, but whatever. Sean, any questions?
No questions.
No.
No, I have a motion if you're ready.
Okay. Jack, any
No
questions?
questions.
All right.
Issue the certificate of compliance as requested.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1727, 44 Summer Street.
alrighty, summer. Alrighty. So the order issued in January of 2018 governed the raising of an existing dwelling, pool, fencing, and construction of a new single-family house with a garage, patio, deck, subsurface sewage disposal system, and driveway with associated utilities within 100-foot buffer zone to BVW, but respecting the 25 and the 50. There was a removal of an old driveway at the, I don't know where the north arrow is, on this side of the property. And that was restored with plantings, that was within the 25. And the restoration plantings were planted 2 springs ago, have been monitored, are doing well. Our landscape architect, our field inspector visited the site, inspected, the whole site, all the plantings. Things look good, they're stable. The commission did issue a modification for the rear patio with the fireplace, and that was built to approved specs. We have wetland markers out there. So we have a stable, compliant site, and I recommend issuing a certificate of compliance.
Thank you, Amy. Sean?
No questions?
Hal?
No questions.
Jack?
No question.
Motion?
Move to issue the COC for 404 Summer Street.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one is any small project, NACC 272-95 Amberville Road.
Alrighty. So this is a proposed deck at the back of the house, a 10 by 12 deck with a 3 by 4 stairs off the side of it. So it's well with, under the 300 square foot threshold for the small project permit. It is 74 feet from the BVW at its closest point. It's entirely within lawn. There will be 3 concrete footings, 12-inch by 48-inch in size. And there is a topographic rise from the back of the house to the wetland. So we don't have a slope issue at all. It's actually slopes towards the house. So there's no risk of sedimentation from any of the work into the wetland. So I recommend issuing a small project permit category A with conditions as listed.
No questions?
No questions, I'm sorry.
No questions.
Okay, motion?
I move that we accept it as an A and we condition it as recommended by our administrator.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. That's it, right? Wait, there usually two. Okay, next one is, where am I here? Oh, NACC number 273-99 Hay Meadow Road.
Alrighty, so this is an in-kind replacement of existing driveway. It is a full reclaim, because it's in pretty bad shape. So, old asphalt, loam and rocks will be excavated out, regrading compaction with 4-inch gravel base, 2 inches of binder coat, and 1.5 inches of finish coat. Let's see. Field inspector visited the site. The closest point of the driveway is 18 feet from the BVW.
How many feet?
18. In consultation with the chairman, he recommended a small project because it was entirely in-kind replacement of an existing drive. There was no expansion. It's in bad shape. It couldn't have been overlaid. So we're recommending a small project permit category L with conditions that require conservation staff to measure and verify the existing width of the driveway. It was provided in the paving contractor's quote, but we're just going to verify that. Mulch sock installation for erosion control staked, and that the chairman asked that the Conservation Department staff be on site while reclaim and gravel base work is undertaken, and then a post-construction site visit.
I don't No, you can yell at me, go ahead.
I'm just reading our application checklist. It says the applicant maintains the project falls within the small project category below, and activities or structures are located outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone. And then it gives A, B, C, et cetera, below it. So I don't know how this can fall as an L. Sorry.
It's my fault. No, it was my fault.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it was in kind, like a resurface, and then after I realized that it was a excavation, so it should have been an RDA, but it was my bad. That's why I got Taylor going out there before
Yep.
and during the excavation work, because it is existing, but it doesn't fall under the small project category. But here it is, and I'll take full blame for it.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking to blame it, certainly. It
But,
just, it just falls without, the language is pretty,
We don't have,
Clear.
that L category is supposed to cover everything, right?
Yeah,
Well, it-
Yeah, provided it meets the initial,
I know,
Right.
I know.
It's outside,
It was my bad.
it's the 12-foot thing that's sticking out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with you. I'm looking at the picture, it's an easy job.
Yeah,
yeah, provable.
it just let the pavement go. But,
It's probably an IDA though, right?
yeah, it probably is. That's, like, after we were going through this today, I was like, ooh, this probably should have been an RDA.
We're gonna triple check again every time
Yeah, I
we say
know.
stuff.
Hey, it happens. Every now and then a curveball gets
I
by.
know.
Can it still be an RDA? I mean, it's not approved as a small project.
No, it's just
Oh, yeah.
would require a new application, that's all.
Right.
Yeah, but if whatever the fee is for an RDA, deduct whatever they paid for the small project, right? I mean, just so that they don't have to get charged more.
So I think what we're saying is bring it back as an IDA.
Or withdraw it,
Okay.
The whole premise of that small project was no waivers requested.
Yeah,
And
it
this
has
is-
to be out,
Right.
it can't be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is, why don't we continue it? And then when the IDA comes in, they can withdraw it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we open the IDA. And I'll move that accordingly.
Second.
Is there an applicant that needs,
Yeah,
that's sitting
Bob-
here hearing this play out?
Bob,
that
are
wants to
you
speak
with
up?
us?
Is that-
Or Cooper?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Bob.
Oh, hi.
Bye, Bob.
Bob.
And Barbara. Hi.
Sorry, Bob.
Mrs. Bob.
Yeah, me too.
It was just filed, we got, it's on the wrong form, which
What is an RDA?
is just a request for determination of applicability. It's the next step up.
So Bob,
It's just different kind of paperwork.
Right.
And our apologies, but we have to, because it's, the Wetland Protection Act requires it, we can't skirt that. I wish we could.
So,
You still get your driveway, you just file a different application.
so then we wait till the next meeting to do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
So what, we'll assist you with the application materials.
When are they coming to do the driveway?
well, it was supposed to be last fall, but, now it got, there were lots and lots of delays. We've been waiting a long time on this, and now we were gonna get it started very soon after this meeting, assuming that it was gonna be approved. So, we're like first on their list as far as what they told us.
Right.
And as you know, the driveway's in bad shape.
Right. We can get this done for you by the next meeting, but we can't get it done tonight, unfortunately, I don't think.
Okay, so, all right, so is that in 2 weeks?
Yes.
All right, so do we need to call Cooper Brothers, or will you be in touch with them, or how does this work?
We can get in touch with them.
Okay.
Okay,
Just make sure they don't start without this.
You should contact them to make sure they don't do unapproved work on your site.
Yeah, just
Oh.
call,
No,
you
they-
should call them and
maybe
tell them
they're
you should call them and tell them you don't have the permit yet, you're not gonna get it for 2 weeks. Just tell them there was a clerical glitch of
A
some kind.
glitch.
It was a glitch.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So with the RDA, do you kick that out immediately versus close an issue in 21 days?
Say that again?
So,
Is there an appeal period?
Yeah, is there?
There's a
right.
10-day appeal
It's a
period, but
yes, there's a 10 business day appeal period, but applicants can start work at their own risk.
so
So
Thi-
it's not
this-
like you have to wait like an.
this
order.
application that's here in front of us is a small project. It wouldn't take much to annex this into an
Right.
IDA application.
Right.
So perhaps you could do that. Amy's going to assist you in converting this into an IDA so that it'll be ready to go for you. So just get in touch with Amy, get in touch with Amy tomorrow, and she can explain to
Okay.
you.
And as an RDA, you don't anticipate any problems?
We're going to be the same people that are looking at that, so.
Yep, as long as you don't change that driveway. Keep it in kind.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
thank you.
All right, so
Thank you very
we'll
much.
talk tomorrow, you guys.
Thank you for your patience. We
All right,
appreciate it.
good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next one is small project 274, 113 Qriket Lane.
All right, Qriket Lane, Qriket Lane. All righty, so this is an in-kind replacement of an existing deck, 95 feet from the wetland. Footings not to be touched. It's a 16 by 24, so 384 square feet. So the existing decking, railings, and trim boards will be removed and replaced, but the footings are sound, so no ground disturbance. We did an on-site site visit to get that measurement. And so I recommend approving it as a small project category B with a post-construction site visit to ensure compliance.
No question?
Yeah,
I have no questions.
Jack?
Good.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Well done, Sean.
Next one is modifications, 242, 1755, Zero Ray Street, Lot 5 through 7.
Didn't we do this last time?
No, there's a different one.
Different lots.
Different lots.
So,
This is-
all right, so this is to head off the need for an after-the-fact modification for these houses.
For decks and stairs and.
Yeah.
All those things that
All
don't
those
come with an
things that
envelope.
don't come out with the envelope.
When you get an
that's right.
envelope, you don't get
Yeah,
these
you don't
things.
get them with an envelope.
So lot number 5 is going to receive a 15 by 12 rear deck with stairs.
Okay.
And that's gonna be 74.3 feet from the BVW at its closest point. Lot 6 is actually, the stuff that they're proposing, the patio, is outside of jurisdiction, but they're showing it on the plan anyway, which is okay. And then lot 7 is going to receive a 10 by 9 rear deck with stairs. And that's gonna be 65.9 feet from the BVW and 125 feet from mean annual high water line. So no waivers, just simply let's show on the plan what we're gonna do. And I would recommend approving the modifications as presented.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to congratulate all the lots on their upcoming additions. I think that's great for each of them. No questions.
Okay, motion.
I have no questions.
No questions for me either. I move that we approve the modification for 242-1755.
Secundo.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Next one is 242-1789, 35 Hawthorne Place.
All righty, Hawthorne. Okay. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, so the order issued in July of 2020 governs the installation of an in-ground pool. At that time, no patio was proposed around the pool. It was simply a coping and lawn. Since then, applicant decided a patio would be a good idea.
That's pretty novel.
So,
I am so surprised.
They just wanted the cement pond.
Oh.
So-
Go back to the tape and see at the original meeting, if somebody said, you know, if you're gonna put this in here, don't come back and.
so anyway, so, work is ongoing and in compliance. So the applicant wishes to add a surrounding paver patio at 977 square feet with a short landscape retaining wall and stone in between the wall and the patio. Patio will remain well outside of the 50. The 50 is right here, and the patio is in red. And there's a 3 feet width behind it, so we're still, you know, compliant, no waivers. And I would recommend issuing the modification, but just requiring that the paver patio remain pervious and not grouted.
John, any questions?
No questions.
Al?
No questions.
Jack?
I have no issues, no questions.
Motion?
Do it, Jack. Do it.
Move that we issue the modification for 242-1789
With requirement of
with pervious pavers.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Just one quick question. I saw the name, it just rang a bell. Is that the one that we went to last year that they were clearing trees out in the woods?
There was a tree within, limit of work that was dying and rotted. And
Yeah,
that's what they,
They had
right.
put the fence
Yeah.
around it, and
Yeah.
they were clear cutting in the woods.
no, it fell, and then they dragged it out.
No, but then there were brush cutting, remember,
No.
That wasn't the one?
No, I ran out there after you did,
Okay,
and it was the limbs and the stuff that fell, and it was falling on Japanese knotweed,
okay.
and then they
But
dragged it
that was,
out.
that was.
And then the knotweed
I was
sprang
just
back.
curious from my own, trying to remember, because when I'm looking where it is, I remembered it.
Yeah, it was behind the shed.
Yeah.
And it was gonna fall on the shed, so,
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
yep. So, Max, you're all set.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Next one is 242-1745, 350 Winthrop Ave.
Alrighty, so the commission will recall at the last couple of meetings talking about snow storage violation and asking for a revised plan that really gives us a real clear delineation of where snow can go, where it can't go, controls to prevent operators from encroaching onto the zones. And so we have a stamped, and the commission also asked for a stamped plan and a formal modification request to enter the record for the existing order. Market Basket has submitted that. We have all of the elements that the commission requested. The plan is stamped, and a modification request is before us. So I'd recommend accepting this as part of the record as a modified snow storage plan for 242-1745.
Questions?
No questions.
No questions.
No questions.
Motion?
I move that we approve the modification for 242-1745
Second.
as stated.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
All
Thank-
set, Norman, thank you.
All set.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Next one is,
Get this wall
Never
cut.
mind.
next one is
Oh, yeah, here we go.
242-1735, 1429 Osgood Street. Request to continue to June 9th.
So move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. We have a couple enforcement orders to continue, to request to continue. 15 Duncan Drive, request to continue to June 9th.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
need to recuse on the next one.
Okay, and Mr. Maben is recusing himself from the next one.
Which gives us no quorum.
Oh, that's right, it
You're
does not.
continuing it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it would automatically continue.
It automatically continues. So we don't have to do a motion. Okay, so we're going back up top. 0 Turnpike Street, Middleton Farm Supply.
Alrighty, so the commission will recall issuing an enforcement order requiring removal of construction wood and other debris from within an isolated wetland and establishing a 25-foot no disturb zone permanent barrier. You gave a deadline of May 1st to get these things done, or the owner would face a $25 a day fine. Owner had completed these tasks in advance of that deadline, and he used a combination of rocks and pressure-treated 4x4s with wetland markers to demarcate that area. All of the foreign material has been removed. There are some natural piles of natural wood that we wanted them to leave for habitat wood and just, you know, it's natural stuff, so we didn't want him to disturb it. So we have posts up, rocks, stones at the edge, so he used a combination. I'll do a couple of pictures, and you'll see in the photos that there's empty trailers parked up against here. And that's done on purpose, and I agreed with it, because it really prevents any other active tenants to be next to that area. So it's a good extra barrier.
That's the 25, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're using the trailers as if they were Jersey barricades.
Basically,
Okay.
yeah.
The problem is the trailers have wheels.
They make a good Jersey barricade, though.
Well, they're easily moved.
Easily moved. So is a Jersey
True.
barricade.
But
Not as easy as a tractor trailer.
If you hang around Lou's garage, he's got stuff there that moves those things all over the place.
so.
He can move them like nothing.
So, the owner, or the applicant has met your requests and directives, and I would recommend lifting the enforcement order.
So move.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is
All right,
177 Great Pond Road.
okay. So the commission will recall issuing an enforcement order in response to mechanical removal of vegetation and soil disturbance in the buffer and wetland areas on this lot. Homeowner cooperated, ceased work, and after discussion, the commission issued an amended order requiring the submittal of an ANRAD by May 1st. Applicant moved quickly, secured Norse Environmental to do the delineation. Norse completed the delineation well in advance of the May 1st deadline. And as everyone has been hearing, surveyors have been backed up like crazy, so they've been after their surveyor to get on site. And they're asking for an additional extension to that deadline to submit the ANRAD to July 1st. I spoke with Maureen Harold. She said that the surveyor is absolutely on track to get there to meet that deadline. He will be there in June to do the survey. I have scheduled a site inspection with Maureen and the homeowner to walk the wetland line. And so I'm recommending, granting that extension. I just think it's been.
This was a friendly enforcement order, too,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cooperative.
Yeah, and they've been.
They've been very good about responding to their, whatever's in their control. They've done what they've can to comply, so.
So what do you want to do?
I would recommend granting the extension to July 1st for the ANRAD submittal.
So
No fines.
No fines? Okay. All right, I didn't know.
Well, I mean, these people. are-
my motion reflects waiving the fines.
It was just a suggestion.
It's
Second.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, you just
Well,
need
wait,
to
we're not done yet.
Authorize me to sign.
You're not-
We authorize you, so moved.
Second.
Yeah, because we're not, you didn't.
We should have an ongoing motion that doesn't need to be renewed every time. That can be just like,
I know, but you guys were, no,
This is
no.
the-
Sean
this is
was
the last
very
meeting.
particular about taking an extra vote every time.
it's always Sean.
It's funny, I don't remember that, but if you
Oh,
say
yeah,
so.
I do.
It's always,
I do.
it's always Sean.
I'm sure I had a very good reason for
Motion and
that
a second.
idea.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that,
You're authorized.
okay, you're out there.
Now can we
We
adjourn?
don't, probably not have to do that.
Just for 2
anymore.
weeks, though, then we'll authorize you again.
We'll authorize you again.
Motion to adjourn, yeah, then you're not gonna get it.
Okay.
Then you got no chance of getting.
Motion to adjourn.
Wow.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
All done.
Well,